This week is turning out to be a Helldivers Royal Rumble, as the Phantom Balance patch is already getting the crap kicked out of it, even though it hasn't appeared. The Mech is in there, balance debates are coming off the top rope, a new CEO just happens to run into the picture, and through all of this, Sony hides silently under the ring, waiting for the all clear. Yeah, how's that for a mental picture? Welcome to Wednesday, divers. This is LtBuzzLitebeer, and we've got all of that to talk about, plus even more, so stay tuned. But before we jump into it all, thank you so much again for your continued support, both for my channel and my content. In case you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe. It's free and it really helps out the YouTube algo. And while you're here, ring that notifications bell to receive my latest upload alerts. But before we go planet side, we need to stay fueled up with today's incredible sponsor. Have you ever felt like your diet needs an overhaul? Don't lie to me. We're gamers. We survive on takeout and soda, but at some point, we've got to get our eating habits together. And today's sponsor, Factor, is the perfect solution. One of my goals this year is to get back into elite shape, and nutrition is a huge part of that equation. Now, since I stay super active all day long, I often run out of time, and the first thing to be sacrificed is a quality meal. But with Factor, I can have fresh meals arrive to my doorstep prepared and ready to eat in just 2 minutes, which is perfect for busy lifestyles like mine. Their menu selections are updated weekly and include over 27 meals and 33 add-on options. There's keto, calorie smart, chef's choice, and vegan plus veggie options to choose from, all prepared by chefs and approved by dietitians. I especially like the cavatappi and Italian-style pork ragu with garlic broccoli, and the 100% plant-based cold brew latte protein shake was a great filler when I needed something to carry me over to my next meal. Factor really fit into my busy daily routine, and it might just do the same for you. Head over to factor75.com or click the link below and use code LtBuzz50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next 4 boxes. That's factor75.com, code LtBuzz50 for 50% off your first box and 20% off your next 4 boxes, and start eating better today. Okay, checking in on the Superstore, and the Tandem Polar Patriots armor sets are here for the next 48 hours or so, starting off with the CW9 White Wolf medium body armor with extra padding as the passive for a higher armor rating. Of course, there's also the matching White Wolf helmet, complete with the Helldivers logo up there on the forehead, the CE64 Grenadier helmet, and finally, the CE64 Grenadier heavy body armor with engineering kit for both reduced recoil and +2 grenades. And if you've ever wanted heavy armor with more grenades, this is currently the only set in the game that has them, so check it out if that's something you need. Alright, next over to the Galactic Map check-in, and ooh, this thing is a mess. Not as Helldivers, we've actually done our part here. We've crushed this one out of the park, at least for now, as we have absolutely cleared a path to Meridia, where we're going to deliver the dark fluid and possibly bring down the Illuminate reinvasion on our heads. No, the mess is not with us, it's actually with the game, because we were tasked with liberating Fenrir 3, Angel's Venture, and Touring, and we absolutely did. But the map seems to be in slow-mo, so even though we cannot gain access to Touring right now, because we've liberated it, it only shows around 80% liberated. Now, as far as I can tell, this is a glitch in the Matrix, because if you keep checking back in on Touring, the percentages keep rising, despite that fact that divers cannot dive there. Also, while we're over here, today's daily or personal order is to get 50 kills with the grenade launcher, which is actually a very weak stratagem weapon, so I would recommend using it on a bug purge hatcheries mission for reasons. Mop up those 50 kills and net yourself 15 medals. And finally, checking in on the Helldivers Companion app, and again, we don't see Touring here. Go back to what I just said. So instead, we have 11 active campaigns, all of which are liberations, ranging from -1 to -3% modifiers, meaning progress is even slower on those planets, except for Akamar 4, where the modifier is currently set at 0. Now, the bulk of our bug divers seem to be focused on Cirrus, which is now set at -1%. So the more forces we can get planetside, the better, because it is currently at a stalemate. as we are not losing, but we're not gaining ground there either. You're two OP divers, or at least that's one take on the latest mech equipping discussion. Now, I commented on this in my last video, but if I want to use 2 of my strat slots to equip the Patriot and Emancipator, then I think I should be able to. And judging from many of your comments, many of you agreed with me. But apparently, Arrowhead does not, for technical reasons. This question response came from Baskinator when asked about equipping 2 mechs at the same time. Quote, "You're meant to only equip 1 at this time, and it's due to resource management. From our code team lead, the mechs require a lot of system resources, significantly more than other strats, to the point we need to keep a cap on vehicles in general to avoid further problems with stability and performance. We want to uncap the number of mech vehicles, but more work is required on our end to make sure we can do that in a stable way." In terms of a reason why Arrowhead can't enable multiple mechs, okay, this one sounds somewhat legit, but, and here's my ever-quizzical mind at work, the game seems capable of throwing 9 billion bugs at us at once, or dropship upon dropship full of devastators never needing to reload, continuously firing lasers and rockets at an overwhelming speed and density, and again, it continues to work just fine, but 4 divers using mechs with limited autocannon rounds, rockets, and a Gatling gun are too much for the system to handle? Oh, I also forgot to add in there that there's a 10-minute cooldown between uses, meaning we get a few glorious minutes of mechs before they become useless. So, yeah, maybe it's just me. I can absolutely make mistakes, but somewhere in that equation, the math just doesn't add up. Arrowhead's new CEO takes to Reddit, and you want to talk about frying the servers? He has posted one of the biggest walls of text Reddit has ever seen. Now, I'll include a link to this one in the video description, but Shams Jorjani seems to have spelled out the last 20 years of work experience for everyone to see as he talks about the past, the future, and Johan. Now, I've been asked this many times since the change. Things like, hey, did Sony get rid of Johan? Or what happened to Johan? Has he had enough? Is he already moving on to other games? And believe me, I don't have any more information than anyone else, but I do have some thoughts on the situation. My first thought is that the whole Sony thing, and you can't see me over here, but I'm air quoting, but that whole week that we went through, plus all the extra he was seeing on his side, just flat wore him out, and he decided as the chairman to bring in a buffer to take on the corpo day-to-day bullshit, so he could get back to what he really wanted to be doing, game design. Sony implemented the change. Again, I don't know definitively what happened here, and it's just my 2 cents, but again, I think this is also false. Arrowhead is partnered with Sony to publish Helldivers 2, but Sony does not own the studio. They are independent, and therefore should be free to do as they see fit, kind of within reason. Also, another question or statement I've been seeing is that Johan is already looking ahead to the next project. He's already moved beyond HD2, which, I mean, sure, I guess this could happen. Why not? Game devs are always creating, they're always planning and the rest, but Helldivers 2 went full nuclear, which was far beyond what Arrowhead or Johan thought it was going to do. And for now, my guess is that it's all hands to the pump for Helldivers 2 as they try to sort out a game built for 40 to 50,000 maximum players, but ultimately exploded to over 12 million. The patch is with about 15 question marks after it. The patch is delayed. The patch is not today. The patch is not going to happen this week. Don't expect everything to be in this patch. I mean, it's crazy trying to follow this thing because it's like a rope that's tied between 2 super destroyers that are trying to go in the opposite directions, and that poor rope is just trying to hold it all together. As players, we've gone from weekly patches and war bonds to all of a sudden being hit with a full emergency stop. We've seen nerf after nerf, huge blog posts written by the devs about why they balance the way they do, war bond weapons that hurl cotton balls, meddling with spawn rates, and, the list kind of goes on and on. We've also seen public statements made by Johan, who stepped into the Chief Creative Officer role, pushing a narrative that the fun will be put back into the game. And, with each passing day of no patch, No changes expected by the end of the month, guys, which by the way is tomorrow, and now it looks like it may be next week. Well, you know, the player base expectations increase with those delays. Tenfold, 100-fold each day of no new patch. Now, I honestly don't know what is going to be in that patch, or if it's going to include everything that has been discussed in the past. To me, that just sounds like way too much. You've got major things like the spawn reverts, spear lock-ons, friends lists, game stability, new mission types, because new stuff was hinted as being in this patch. Will we see a system for spending or donating rec credits and samples? What about shaders? New armor passives? Is Xbox going to be brought into the fold? What's the new war bond going to look like? How do we get back to super interesting live service element introductions? And the 2-ton gorilla in the room, weapon rebalancing, assault rifles, laser weapons, the eruptor, stratagem weapons, eagle strikes, and orbitals that are insanely weak by comparison to others. Again, where does Arrowhead go with this one? How much do they bring to the table? And is it going to be done properly? Bringing the fun, powerful version of Helldivers back. Again, that's a lot of questions and a ton riding on one single patch. Lost in all of this kerfuffle is PlayStation and Sony, which is actually probably the way they want it. It feels like a year ago, but it was back on May the 6th that PlayStation walked back to PSN linking requirements for PC, and we're still waiting for whatever? Just prior to this, Sony went in and delisted the game for sale in over 177 countries, territories, and regions where PSN was not available, then added on 3 more Baltic countries, and since that point, we have heard nothing but the sound of silence. This continues to be a hot topic on all the social channels, although mainstream media seems to have moved on, thinking that the story has reached its conclusion. Baskinator responded as recently as this morning to this question with, "We do not have any info on this." I believe Shams also said he does not have any info, as the FAQ says now discussions are ongoing and don't have any updates about it. Now, there is one bit of clarity I wanted to contribute to this discussion, and this comes to me directly from members of my Helldivers Discord community that live in these affected areas concerning playing the game. There's still a narrative flying around out there that if you live in one of these affected regions, you can't play the game, and that's not true. From what I'm hearing, as long as you own the game, you can play it. What is being affected is anyone that refunded out prior to Sony's region lock, or new players who want to now buy the game. Those players are being denied access to purchasing the game, which is still a major gut punch, but it's not an issue of current Helldiver owners in those areas being denied access to the game they own. Still, we're nearly 3 weeks removed from Helldivers Unity Day, May the 6th, and still no Sony resolution or answers to whatever Sony is going to attempt to do here. I know that Sony story feels like it's reached its ultimate conclusion, but in actuality it's far from it, and I felt it deserved another refresh on what has truly happened. Leave me some feedback and I will do my best to respond. Remember to hit subscribe and to ring that notifications bell to receive my latest upload alerts. All my socials, including an open invite link to my ever-growing Helldivers Discord community, can all be found in the video description and pinned comments. A huge thanks goes out to the nearly 230,000 of you incredible ladies and gentlemen that have taken the plunge, hit subscribe, and tune in daily to support me and my channel. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.